My name is Nyakalabuke. I am from the Ivory Coast, and I'm happy to be here wherever there's a conversation about Ivory Coast or about the tribe of Bagolora or the future of Africa or Pan-Africanism. I'm always delighted not to have a conversation. And because people want to think that when some people take a position, they are biased, I make an effort, not only because I am an academic, but because I believe in truth. So wherever I go and I speak, I give facts. And then those who can contradict me with facts, I would love to have a conversation with them. Now, today, the topic of my presentation is about the Ivory Coast crisis, the anatomy of the conflict, and the credibility of the International Criminal Court. You heard about many cases about the ICC, Sudan, Congo, Eastern Africa, Ivory Coast, and different parts in Africa. I'm not going to repeat what many said, that most of the cases that the ICC is prosecuting are about Africans and African countries. So I'm not going to repeat that. But this is what I'm going to say, that the hallmark of the lack of credibility of the ICC revolves around the crisis in Ivory Coast and the trial of President Gbagbo. That's the hallmark. And my job in my presentation is to demonstrate why the ICC, despite what I heard this morning, may not recover. And I'm going to say that again. Why the International Criminal Court may not recover in the way that the institution is dealing with Ivory Coast. Now, my presentation, there are 7 points, and I believe that I will be talking about them in 10 minutes. The first one, yes, let's agree on the fundamentals. I share the quest for justice because we all have shared that common humanity. We do not want to see a woman raped, a man being raped, people being killed, children being killed. This is what I've been doing for the last 25 years. So I will agree in principle with the principles of the International Criminal Court, which is to prosecute victimizers and to bring victimizers to justice, and then which is also about bringing justice to the victims. We agree in principles. But when we talk about the International Criminal Court, a brief historical panorama that is very important for those who want to understand. We have the International Criminal Court since the Treaty of Rome 1998, and now everyone is talking about that international arbitration. But in our contemporary world history, when one of the first times when the Europeans wanted to have the international court, it was, and please be advised, after the war between France and Germany in 1870-1871, the French lost the war, and the Swiss Gustave Mounier was one of the first to advocate the idea of international tribunal in order to prosecute individuals because of the crimes that were committed during that war. Now, when people hear Africans talk about sovereignty, they cannot understand. But that project did not succeed in the 19th century. Why? Because the European countries were jealous, and listen to this, of their respective sovereignties. That's why that tribunal could not prosper. And we move fast forward, World War I, with the trial of Leipzig. It could not succeed because the Germans, who lost the war, they were given the opportunity to set up a court, the prosecutors and the judges, to try Germans. And you can imagine, it did not work. World War II, we have the trial of Nuremberg and the trial of Tokyo. And again, listen, the same issues that we are having today, they had the same problem during the war, during the Nuremberg trial. the victors, they chose the prosecutors, and they chose the judges, and no one questioned the rationale of the 2 atomic bombs dropped by the United States on the Japanese on Nagasaki and Hiroshima. And we can imagine how this was also a mass massacre. And now, after the Nuremberg trial and the Tokyo, we heard about those special courts to the point that today we are dealing with the International Criminal Court. I just gave you the journey of the international justice process. Now, for the case of Ivory Coast, when you hear about Ivory Coast, the anatomy of Ivory Coast crisis is about 5 elements. 5. The first one is about the electoral stalemate. Who won the election, who did not win the election. Both candidates declared themselves president, Gbagbo and Ouattara. We have the ethnicity problem. You heard about Ivoirité, but many of you do not know about the chart of the Northerners, promoted, advocated by Alassane Ouattara, which is implemented today, as is appointed most of the people from the northern part in high position in the country. And of course, the violence. Gbagbo is allegedly in prison because he committed violence, but for those in the case of Ivory Coast, violence started in 2002, serious violence, because Mr. Ouattara supported the coup d'etat and his warlords. And then later on, they divided the country into 2, and for 8 years. In 2010, the armed conflict resumed when both candidates did not agree on the result of the election. Neocolonialism. When you talk about neocolonialism, people say, oh yes, you know, or you guys are talking about neocolonialism. There is no neocolonialism. This is a stupid comment, and I'm going to tell you why. In Ivory Coast, France is heavily involved in the entire life of the country. Not to go too long, when we have an opportunity, I can elaborate on that. But when you talk about the crisis, there were 4 moments when France like demonstrating some neo-colonial stance in the crisis in Ivory Coast. First, 2002, they refused to go and activate the agreement that binds 2 countries, that when the country is attacked, then France has to protect the president. They refused to do that because they do not control Gbagbo. Second, the Marcoussis Agreement, January 2003. 4, in November 2004, the 50 French tanks tried to overthrow Gbagbo. And number 5, in 2011, France supported the UN and they gave the green light to Mr. Ouattara to attack Gbagbo's forces. And later on, when they saw that Africans could not go into the war on their behalf, they took their planes and helicopters to go. And then this is the spectacle that you saw. Now, the Treaty of Rome now, there are some flaws in the treaty. And I'm not going to take too much time on that, but because we saw Fatou Bensouda speaking this morning, she may be a decent person, but either she's deceived or she's trying to be deceived. She wants to deceive people because in the Treaty of Rome that she's talking about, it is the responsibility of the prosecutor to decide whether or not to prosecute an individual. It is written there. There is a gentleman here, Tano. He's an exile here, and Kule Katina, Gbagbo's spokesperson. They publish some books. You can go and read, you will see. So she's the one who decides. So today, up to now, she's not convinced that there is enough evidence to go and prosecute Ouattara and Ouattara's people. And like I said this morning, the single most atrocious massacre in the post-electoral crisis in Ivory Coast, it was in my birthplace, Dwekwe. 1,000 people were killed. You go online, you put massacre of Dwekwe, Duekoue. And then you will see. So now this is the problem. Now, one thing I will say before I can let before the moderators ask me to stop. How many minutes? 5 more minutes. Thank you. I'm trying to do a good job here. Now, in the case of Ivory Coast, there is a selective prosecution and a selective investigation done by Mr. Ouattara's justice system, and at the same time, this is in line with the selective prosecution and the selective investigation of the International Criminal Court. So this is a fact. Now, how the International Criminal Court can pretend to work for peace when we know that the way they are dealing, that the ICC is in line with Mr. Ouattara, and the ICC seems to be reinforcing the neo-colonial agenda of France, the United States, the United Nations, and many other nations who thought that Gbagbo Laurent should be subdued, defeated, so that Gbagbo Laurent can be punished because he has defied, the international order. So, because of what is happening, there is the reconciliation process in Ivory Coast is stalled. Ouattara has been in power for 5 years, and then Gbagbo's dignitaries, some of them are in this room. There are thousands of people who are still in refugee camps. The accounts are still frozen, and then those who are giving bailout cannot leave the country. And Mr. Alassane Ouattara's people, they can commit any type of crime in the country, and there is no justice for the victims over there, and the ICC is silent. This is the picture in the country on a regular basis. Now, the last thing I will say is that I heard this morning that, because I heard that there was a report by the National Reconciliation Committee in Ivory Coast, and that document has not been released by Mr. Ouattara because according to some findings, and according to the report, and according to the investigation of that commission, 7 out of 10 people who were among the victims are from Gbagbo Laurent's side. And then if that report is revealed, it's going to contradict the narrative of Fatou Bensouda, or whoever think that the ICC is doing like a perfect job. Now, why Ivory Coast matters and why this is very important, and I'm going to tell you why. Gbagbo Laurent, I never worked for Gbagbo Laurent when he was in power. I have a strong relationship with him because I speak the truth everywhere I go. And people may not like it, but I speak the truth. But Gbagbo Laurent is a symbol, and no one can erase that. And Gbagbo Laurent's situation reminds to Africans, the people in Burkina, in Mali, in Guinea, in America, those Negroes who have experienced slavery, colonialism, apartheid, and neocolonialism. The fate of Laurent Gbagbo reminds to us the overthrow of Kwame Nkrumah on February 24, 1966. The fate of Gbagbo reminds to us the imprisonment for 27 years of Nelson Mandela. The fate of Gbagbo reminds to us the assassination of Patrice Lumumba, of Thomas Sankara, of the deportation of Toussaint Louverture, who was the leader of the Haitian Revolution. This is the reality. And then, when you talk about, somebody spoke about this afternoon, when you talk about, yes, it is law, they use law to put together what they call the slave codes. And then those laws in apartheid, it was a legal system. That's why, even if Gbagbo may have faltered, people think that for us to see true justice, either you go after Mr. Alassane Ouattara and his warlords, Gbagbo is in prison, Blé Goudé is in prison, and so Alassane Ouattara is in power. Soro Guillaume, who wrote a book, you go online, you put Soro Guillaume book, why I became a rebel. And then in other words, he was claiming the atrocities committed by the rebellion. And he's there, and he's the Speaker of the House, and he may become the President of the country if something happens to Ouattara. So ladies and gentlemen, Ivory Coast is a microcosm of the United States of Africa because we are a multiple nation, but the way the ICC is conducting its business, and with the support to Mr. Ouattara, in a neo-colonial dimension, it is not good for the nation, and it's not good for the future of Africa. Thank you very much.